before we start, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe underneath this video. We're about to start, so grab a drink as well as something to eat, and let's go. Alright, hello everyone, it's Happy, and today we're finally going to be looking at the E5 and the IS-4 to find out which of these heavy tanks is better at tier 10. Both of them are fan favorites, people absolutely love them, and they're very good vehicles. So we're going to be comparing all three parameters for both of these tanks, which is the gun, the mobility / maneuverability, and of course the armor, because they're heavy tanks. So these are the three criteria we're going to be looking at. And of course, as usual, I have some juicy gameplay for you guys. I have an insane clutch video on the E5, 1 versus 4, just so you guys don't get bored while I talk. So basically, first is first, we're going to be looking at the mobility and movement, just to move it out of the way. The IS-4 has 43 kilometers per hour, while the E5 has 37. Of course, the IS-4 has a better top speed, but the power to weight ratio is better on the E5. So, you know, they're both good in their separate ways. They both feel like they can swap around flanks quite easily. They're quite maneuverable for heavy tanks, but I wouldn't give each of them a point because they're both quite good. The E5 does feel sluggish sometimes with 37 kilometers per hour compared to the IS-4, but it does feel like you can get it, like, you know, a lot faster than the IS-4. So I wouldn't give anyone a point here. They're both very good, and there's nothing to complain about in any of these tanks if you compare that to tanks like the E100, the Mouse, the VK90, VK72, etc, etc. The most interesting thing here is obviously the gun and the armor, because they are heavy tanks. So the gun, we can easily say, is better on the E5. Why? Because the DPM is a lot better. 2.8k versus 2.6k on the IS-4. The IS-4 only has a better alpha than the E5, so that's the only thing it's good at. Another insane thing is that the heat shells on both of these tanks penetrate 340, which is insane. Probably really good at tier 10. Not probably, it is very good at tier 10. The E5 is a lot more comfortable though in terms of gun handling. The aim time and dispersion as well as the gun depression are way better on the E5, which means it's a lot more comfortable to do damage on the E5. This already shows you that the E5 is pretty good for players who already know how to use the gun handling and gun depression, so which means if you go hull down here and there, etc, that means you will be able to do more damage on the E5 because of the DPM and gun handling compared to the IS-4. So that's that. The IS-4 is good for peekaboos, but again, 420 isn't that much of a difference compared to 400, so you know, that's that. So in terms of gun, I definitely say the E5 is a lot better, like way ahead than the IS-4. Sorry about that. So yeah, but the third parameter is obviously going to be armor, which is the most important thing on a heavy tank. The armor is quite poor on the E5, I'm not gonna lie guys. The lower plate is humongous. The turret, if you switch to gold, can be pinned in the cheeks very easily, and the sides cannot side scrape at all. So the E5 is quite bad in terms of armor. On top of that, the sides can be penned, if the sides are penned, your ammo rack is going out of the window. This means that your DPM is also going out of the window, especially if you use that one repair kit, because most players usually carry only one repair kit with the E5. So if that's used up, your ammo rack is dead and your DPM is dead. That means you won't be able to do damage this game, and you're gonna suck big PP because of that. The IS-4 on the other hand has insane armor. The lower plate is tiny, the sides tank shells, the front tank shells. Even if the front is gray, you're gonna bounce stuff because RNG. And Stalin blessed this tank. He literally gave the IS-4 the name. So yeah, the armor on the IS-4 is really good. That's why it's played a lot in tournaments. But the E5 also has its special consumables, which means that it gives a lot more variety for gameplay. Again, this already shows what type of player can play the IS-4. It's mostly newer players, so that can utilize the armor, and it will save you from a lot of your mistakes. The E5 won't. If you do drive past the enemy with your side, you're not going to get saved. Your side is going to get wrecked, and you're going to get ammo wrecked. and your DPM is out the window, and that's the game ruined. So E5 is all for players who already know how to play the game and who are more or less experienced in the game, while the IS-4, you know, it can also be used by players who are good at the game, but then again, it's mostly for players that are newer to the game. That's why I would recommend the IS-4 to be one of your first tech tree tanks after the IS-7, especially after the modules in the tech tree are open. The IS-4 is going to be a lot easier to grind, especially for those newer players, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So that's that. So I think I kind of answered your question here. The gun is better on the E5. Maneuverability, both are, you know, on par, I'd say, but the armor is better on the IS-4, as well as HP. The HP is a lot better on the IS-4, which means you can live longer and give out 1 or 2 shots in return. So yeah, again, the only way you can peek with the E5, I forgot to mention, is with your front. And even when you do peek with your front, since the E5's front is more or less a circle, the edge which you're peeking out in front with is going to be a lot weaker. And therefore, again, I don't know how to play this tank 100%, because again, you can't peek, you can't really do anything. You have to be very patient. And I'm a very aggressive player, so it's kind of nerve-wracking, but that's that. So I think I gave a good opinion out, guys. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give a like. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. Happy is out. Bye-bye.